Hey, hi. Yesterday I did a StreamYard interview with a very funny comedian and, well, it was a very interesting interview. I much enjoyed the conversation, but I'm not a fan of like FaceTime interviews, StreamYard interviews, which is like Zoom, because I feel like, well, I'll save you the rant. Anyways, this is how this interview starts.
Julie!
See, what had happened was, I've never used StreamYard before, so I didn't know that when he was in the waiting room, he could see my screen and he could also hear my microphone. So here he is watching me watch him while I look at my phone. Recording this little snafu is Michael Kosta. You know Michael Kosta.
Michael Kosta, everybody. Senior impeachment correspondent, Michael Kosta, everybody.
You sweet, dimpled simpleton.
He's on The Daily Show, and December 17th and 18th, he's going to be performing at the Blue Room Comedy Club. Anyways, here's that conversation. I don't want to bore you with history facts. That's a lie. I love history.
I love the Titanic stuff.
Do you? Okay, well, originally by the world,
Yeah.
I've watched all these documentaries, and one thing that intrigued me was like the reporting of it when it happens. It sinks. And this is like the ship, you know what I mean? It's got some prestige people on it. It goes down. Some of the initial reports are like, Titanic sinks, nobody's hurt. Of course, LOL, that's a lie. A lot of people are hurt.
Not just hurt.
Not my type, though. Your type, though, would have definitely frozen to death. Got that woman card. I'm whipping out that privilege. Let me on one of them boats.
Hadn't we better get the women and children into the boats, sir?
Thinking, I didn't even want to go on this trip.
You wouldn't want to go on the Titanic?
I mean, I don't know. Like, there was probably some husband that got dragged there.
Yeah.
Because his wife and kids wanted to go, and he's like, Jesus Christ, whatever they need. And then he ends up dying. It's
No, my friend. This is 1912. The women don't make decisions for the family. We just bore the children and keep the babies on the hips. You know what I mean? We whip up some fresh bread in
fresh
the
bread.
kitchen.
That's funny. It was 1912. If you would have asked me when the Titanic sunk, I would have said like 1971 or something.
The Blue Room Comedy Club is a really cool place. Have you been here before?
No, it's my first time.
It's your first time. Well, you're in for a nice little treat because I don't think you expect a comedy club that's below a parking garage to be one of the like a really cool place.
Comedy is a go down activity. Anytime there's a comedy club upstairs, anytime there's a comedy club on the 4th level, comedy is you've had a few drinks, you might fall down the stairs into this room, and that is where comedy ensues. Even in the Midwest, so much comedy would ensue in the basement. That's where everybody would hang and like drink, and everybody had basement comedy. So I love that it's under a parking lot. That's perfect. Plus my car will be so close.
Right above you. You won't even have to worry about that. So you're driving here, huh?
I'm not. I made a reference like I had a car, but I'll be. Is there Uber? Or?
We do have Uber, but you know how things are slow to make their way to the middle of the country when it comes to style. Just have the horse and buggy situation happening here. So
okay. Well, maybe I'll ask you, Julie. Maybe I'll ask you to pick me up.
Come on down. You can hop in my very classy Chevy Trax, and we will zoom for miles around Springfield.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
I'm from Michigan. I live in Brooklyn because The Daily Show is in New York City, and it's a trip. It's a trip, all type of people, all type of languages, all types of food, always intense, always loud. And anytime I get on a flight and go anywhere else, I take a deep breath and I bask in the reliability and kindness of my fellow American, because you don't feel that in New York City.
That's probably the freshest air you breathe when you leave New York is right there in the airplane.
Oh, yeah.
When you're talking about the languages, 800 languages spoken there in New York. It's incredible.
Is that right?
Yeah. Or at least I read on the internet a few weeks ago, and it popped in my mind.
Oftentimes you won't hear English a lot. I would say predominantly everybody speaks English, but I kind of enjoy that. And growing up in Michigan, where all you ever heard was the same thing, and lots of times saw the same people, and lots of times ate the same food, New York City is a surprise party at all times of every facet.
Did you in Michigan think like, oh, I'm going to be a comedian? Was this your original track in life?
My original track was professional tennis.
Hi. I'm Michael Kosta.
And before I started covering the news on cable TV, I was a successful professional athlete. What sport? Tennis. Duh.
So, no, I always wanted to be an athlete. I attempted. I got pretty far, played minor league pro tennis. But I would always keep these journals of jokes. I'm from a big family. Nobody ever said I love you. You just made fun of somebody. You teased them. That was how you expressed love. So I would write these things down that I thought were funny, or sometimes they were mean, but they always would make me laugh. So I finally finished tennis. I coached a few years at University of Michigan, and I had these notebooks filled with all these jokes. And I said, let's go try them on stage. And 19 years later, I'm talking to Julie Wilson, and I'm a star.
You're a star. You're a star. Shine bright, shine far.
Shine bright, shine far, don't be shy, be a star.
I didn't
Good
think
job.
this would be a 20-year job, but you get started in any job. I really enjoy creating, and I really enjoy making people laugh, and you just kind of go one foot in front of the other. And forever, my goal was just to make the same amount of money I was making as a tennis coach,
$1 million.
which was like $31,000 a year. So
Mhm.
it's been 20 years, and I'm almost there. The Daily Show, like its name is,
Daily.
You're a goddamn genius.
there are lots of breaks, but it's year-round. That's one of the things I love about it, because in comedy, when do you get to have like an actual consistent job? Every day I wake up, and whether COVID is happening or not, you think about funny segments and ideas for a TV show that night. It's really fun. Stand-up comedy is how I got the job. Stand-up comedy is how I've always gotten anything. Performing, making people laugh, traveling the world, telling jokes.
Did you ever envision yourself reporting the news in a nuanced fashion, in a funny way, where people might see these really serious topics and view them in a new light through your witty writing or your humor?
I think that's the ultimate goal. I think for me, that's what I've always loved about The Daily Show was, how did we just make people laugh about voter suppression in Georgia, yet it's still a really important topic, and the viewer, maybe unbeknownst to them, learned something. So I think that's when comedy is done at its highest level. Have I told many dick jokes that are not at a high level? Absolutely. I think those are important too. I don't know if I'm allowed to even swear on here, but I'm just doing it.
Okay, the other day it was called Children Crotch Goblins. I think you can get away with
great.
nearly anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're good.
perfect. Yeah.
Permission granted.
Permission granted. So what I love about The Daily Show is I can tackle the pollution of Lake Erie and the drinking water of the residents of Toledo in a fun, entertaining way that also makes a very important point, or Native American funding and their lack of education and what they're doing to try to improve their lives. These don't sound like hilarious topics, but The Daily Show always, historically and excellently, toes this line between we made you laugh, but you also better call your senator.
Yeah, I thought you did something with the Shinnecock Nation there in the Hamptons, and I found that to be wildly fascinating. Not only their kind of middle finger to the people that are coming into the Hamptons, but kind of what you did as well. I thought it was a brilliant comedic twist that you added to it.
Well, thank you. Well, this is the part where I have to say it's a team effort at The Daily Show. There's a producer who pitches the idea. There's a director who shoots the idea. I'm the comedian who performs the idea. There's writers who come up with the ideas. It's very collaborative. I'm the one you see on screen, but it's a team effort.
Maybe I could be the guy in that Kevin Costner movie and bring a message of peace to the pale faces. And I knew the perfect way to reach them.
That is a great piece. I love that piece. It's about the Shinnecock Nation in a who have land, their original land in the Hamptons, which is one of the wealthiest areas to live in the United States, and they're poor. I mean, they don't really have a school. They don't have medical facilities, and so they came up with a creative way to make some money for their people. And of course, all the super rich, mostly super white people of Hamptons got very mad at them, and that's what the piece is about.
How do you get these centerpieces of very serious topics to kind of chill out. Like I was watching a segment that you did with the guy and the Proud Boys and how the Proud Boys have a no jerk it policy. I think it was called the no wank policy. So how do you get these guys who kind of have a serious tone to lighten up and go along with it?
Now it's like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, I have one hand, so
Right.
you know it gets lots of practice.
This guy masturbates.
It doesn't always happen. There are times when it is a failure and we don't air it, or it was too difficult. But in general, and I would say 95% of the time, we are showcasing that person's point of view. It doesn't mean we always agree with it. It doesn't mean we support it, but basic benefit of being on a television show to say what they want to say. And that's where the Daily Show has a lot. Daily Show's history helps us a lot. People know that I'm a comedian. People know that we will get some jokes in there, and it's one of the best parts of the job.
Did you ever go to the Newseum that they had in Washington, D.C. up until a couple years ago?
Is it called? Oh, yes. I believe the Daily Show had an exhibit there.
They did, and it was wildly fascinating talking about humor inside of the landscape of politics and the progression from the 70s up until Jon Stewart and now Trevor Noah, and of course you being part of that team. Did you ever go to that and think like, oh, gosh dang it, I'm helping do this?
I think that every time a piece airs that has some societal reflection, I grew up laying on the floor of my living room watching The Daily Show, and I used to always love how I would turn it on for laughs, and then I would leave going, "Oh my God, that's a problem that needs to be addressed." So I feel very, very lucky about it. I mean, I have also performed at thousands of bowling alleys, thousands of empty casinos. I've had checks bounce, cars break down, relationships ended because I pursued comedy. So I feel like all of that was paying my dues for getting to do some really fun and intelligent stuff now.
Do you have a favorite journalist? Do you have someone that you're like, this is my go-to guy?
Yeah, I don't. I should. Start of the pandemic, I started to tackle the New Yorker, living in New York, even though, I guess they definitely covered the city of New York. But what I'm really into is just long form, time consuming, well-researched articles. This world is nuanced. We are nuanced. The world is gray. It's not black and white. You turn on CNN, you turn on Fox News, it's all black and white. It's all extreme. Social media only, they only showcase the most extreme viewpoints. Sit down for an hour and read an article about cobalt mining in Central Africa, and you will be a better person. You will learn more, and you'll be more interesting. Because let's be honest, Americans, we're getting really boring. Be more interesting. Be more versed. If you just want to read articles about the United States, fine. But learn some shit and then share it at a party.
Just a party joke. I was thinking about myself today and how I feel like life is a party and everybody's got these like kegger stories from college, and I'm kind of on the outside looking in saying, hey, you guys want to learn a history fact?
Hey,
so yeah, I agree. For the sake of my social life, read a book, you idiots.
Read a book, and even if you read the first 5 pages and pretend you read the book, well, that's too many people are doing that. But I enjoy long form, nuanced journalism. But no, I don't have a good answer for you. And I feel like I let you down because I know you were a journalist and you thought maybe I had this wonderful So I'm sorry.
Thought this is the guy. This is the guy. He's going to know. He's going to be informed. He's going to have the jokes ready to go in this way to present. And so far, you said shit and dick. I don't know what to do with that. I'm kidding.
So I'm sure this interview is going to sell so many tickets.
I think that it's going to sell probably like tens of thousands. Standing room only. Mask, no thank you. Pandemic, not happening. Funny guy on stage, absolutely. Here's your ticket. Buy a pizza. Thank you.
Boom.
Okay. We'll wrap it up. I think I covered all my points. Is there anything else you want to say or add before I give the Blue Room pitch?
Follow me at Michael Kosta. I have a Tennis Anyone podcast that comes out weekly where I usually talk about tennis, but mainly talk about my life and society. And I look forward to performing in Springfield for my very first time. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Michael Kosta is going to be at the Blue Room Comedy Club December 17th, 18th, Friday, Saturday, 2 shows on each day. You can get your tickets at blueroomcomedyclub.com.